Oui, bonjour. Welcome back to Sixes and Sevens, the French edition. Your great mate has finally arrived in France. We've had some technical issues this afternoon trying to get this ready to go, but we've got it solved. Here we are, my great mate Mitch, live from Perpignan. How you going, buddy?
Honestly, bro, what is doing with your head?
Well, it's the French edition. As you know, I don the Catalans. I've got my little mo. I've got a baguette in the oven. I'm ready to go. I miss me mate, so I just thought I might as well throw the French edition. We've both played there. So I thought I might as well give you a bit of French spirit today, just to cheer you up a little bit, because I know you've had a long flight. You're not happy all the time, but hey, you're back with your beautiful wife. How's it been?
It's been good, brother. It's actually good to see. I had a crepe this morning, a coffee, up and running, ready to go. And there's just a few issues with the microphone. So hopefully it sounds all right for the footy nerds, for the viewers. We'll get this sorted. If it's not today, the next couple of episodes, it'll be flowing. But long flight, Toddy, as you said. I actually slept, man. I would have slept 12, 13 hours the first leg. And the second leg, from Dubai to Barcelona, I slept about 2-3 hours. So I've actually been in good spirits. This
Oh, good.
bipolar head's
How's
actually
it?
been
How's
all
it
right.
actually been? Seeing the missus, obviously, he's been away for a little bit. Yeah, you've seen her again for the first time. How's the feeling? Because obviously we know she's having a baby and stuff. But and we were speaking about it, how much change has happened. Like, how does it feel being around and knowing that the baby's starting to grow? And how's she been?
It's been good, man. It's a weird feeling, obviously being away for a month or so, but Leela's getting really big, so it's an exciting time. As you know, you've got one yourself, but it's an exciting time. So this next few months is going to be the ride of our life, my mate, and I'm very excited. It's big baby,
That's
I think it's going to be a big one, big girl.
oh, mate, big boy like you, as they say when you're walking through the streets of Bali. Oh, big boy.
So when you're actually in France, Toddy, did you actually have a moustache like this for the viewers that can't see you? They probably can see your head.
Well,
Were you
as you
rocking
know,
that on your trips to Barca?
Juju, as you know, I've got the worst beard possible. So when I jumped out of the shower before, I got Susie to draw this on, and I went through my cupboard and found the Catalans jersey, which I donned a few times. As you know, scored a couple of tries in this black jumper. I love playing in the black strip. Just it's a slimming look, and you know what? It was a bit of a kick in the guts when I was trying to put this on before. I had to get Susie to help me put it on.
I was going to say, it looks very snug. You've put on a bit of
Very,
weight since your days at Catalans. Those benders
very
wouldn't have helped your
snug
body,
because
though.
I've been eating a few baguettes in the last few days because I've missed me, mate. But
I
I
miss
tell
you,
you what,
bro.
it's good to see your head. Lots has been happening here in Australia, and I'm sure you would have seen the news, and that's what we're going to kick it off. Our sixes and sevens footy nerds are going to dive in straight into the controversy as we speak about bipolar rugby league. That's what we call it, the best roller coaster in the world. Let's start it off with Lachie Galvin. Have you heard much about it, or do you want me to fill you in from how it's all started?
It'd be good if you can fill me in, my mate. But just a quick one before you go down that path. I read a little bit up on the internet since I arrived. I couldn't believe it, actually, when I got off the plane. Popped up all over socials that the young kids obviously decided not to stay there. And then the next stuff I've been reading is all around him being bullied. I think it was one of the journos. I think it was
The
Lockie
journos are having a field day. The
I think it was Chamis.
speculation, the
Yeah.
innuendo, the bullying, the everything. The journos actually having a field day with it, which is the beauty of our rugby league. But yeah, so the story goes: Lachie Galvin rejected a 5-year, $5 million deal, which is the biggest offer for a junior the club's history, which is a massive deal. So he informed the club this week that he was going to reject the offer and that he won't be at the club beyond 2026, which obviously was a massive kick in the guts for the club. And then as the story kept festering, obviously speculation of where Lachie Galvin's going to go. Will he be at the club next year? Obviously, it's a long way to the end of 2026. Then reports that Benji was still considering to pick him this weekend because it come out in the media, and this is all speculation, so I'm just going off what I read, is that Lachie Galvin didn't have any faith in Benji's coaching style and how he'd develop, and also had a dig at the other staff at the Tigers, which is obviously all Benji's teammates from when they won the comp in 2005, and he wasn't confident that he was going to grow his game there along those lines. So, but Benji is still close, considering I'm picking him this weekend against Parramatta. And the report says their senior leadership group contacted Benji that night and said that they didn't want Lachie Galvin in the team. Since then, Jarome Luai has posted an Instagram post, team first, and Taruva posted a image of Lachie Galvin's locker with the video behind it. Here comes the money. So obviously that's where the bullying part is. But I guess in your time, has this ever happened to you, or what's your thoughts on it? One, advice for Lachie, but also two, where do you see it? Like, you've been in the leadership at many clubs before. What would your stance be on this? And I'd like to get your opinion on it, because obviously you've been a leader at a few clubs now.
Well, it's a funny one because we don't know the exact truth. So just first hearing what you just said, I'd be pissed off if I was Benji and the coaching staff. A young kid who's played two seasons, come through their system, been offered one of the biggest contracts in the club's history, and then to criticise, don't bite the hand that feeds you, they say. And there's a
Well
bit of that.
said.
There's a bit of that. You don't bite the hand that feeds you. You've come into first grade and got some really good development. You've been offered, as I just said, you got given the silver spoon, which you've deserved, a really big contract in this open market, which is, halves are sought after. You're about to receive a really good payday, and then all of a sudden you come out with these comments. As I said, we know that the journos can talk shit, that everything can get blown out of proportion. So I want to hear from the horse's mouth and actually hear if he did say this. If he did, I'm not justifying bullying, but I can understand as a senior group, you'd be pissed off. Like if that was my teammate saying comments, a young kid as well that's only played a few games, they're trying to create a good culture. It's not the right thing to say. To the defence of Lachie, these managers can cause dramas, and I'm not one bit pointing the finger again at without the actual facts, but managers can also be behind the scenes and sometimes paint a picture that's not actually been said from the player. So if we can get Lachie on the phone, if he hears this and he wants to have it, honestly, if he wants to have a chat.
Well, he might have plenty of time to jump on the phone, because he's definitely not playing this weekend. And he had an opportunity yesterday, I think it was. This is as reported to Benji wanted him to share to the group about his decision. And apparently it was cut short by the players because they didn't believe the words that was coming out of his mouth. So it's obviously I think it's been handled the wrong way. I don't know if it's from his manager, Moses, or that with the current market where it's at. Obviously, with these contracts after the date, you can start to obviously not talk to rivals, but he's obviously informed the club that he wasn't going to take their offer. But it's massive, because there's ramifications for both ends. The kid now won't get development in first grade if they stick with that. But then there's a ramification. Is the Tigers a better team with Lachie Galvin? The answer is yes, and everyone says that. And then if we look at coaches, and I know it's not all about results, but the Tigers have won the wooden spoon the last couple of years. Benji's will be judged on winning games. If they don't win games without Lachie Galvin, could that be a black mark on Benji's coaching, or is the club just going to back him because they've stood their ground on this matter? But there's obviously heaps of speculation where he's going to go. They're saying Parramatta. I'd like to put my two bobs in. I see Dylan Brown leaving early and Lachie Galvin leaving early and taking that spot. There's talk of the Bulldogs. There's tossed up the Roosters, but if Nick sticks to his guns, he won't deal with an Isaac Moses signed player. But it's massive. It's crazy. There's always this news about things. And the Tigers, the ones when it's players leave, and it's always the one. They've obviously lost Mitchell Moses, James Tedesco along the way. So it's massive news, and it's been headlines here for the last few days. And for the young kid, for me, I support him. Obviously, that he has to come out and make a decision. He said what he was doing, but hopefully he's got some good support staff around him because you obviously need it. One, because there's talk about the backlash from the players, but two, he won't be playing first grade this week, and it'll be interesting to see how he handles it and how it plays out. So it's sort of one of those watch this space areas, I reckon.
Well, it's a hard situation for him, as you said. It could be all innocence, and the fact that he's literally been put in a corner to make a fast decision, says a couple of innocent comments, and the next minute he's got the whole team turned on him, and it's made out that he's backstabbing the staff. That's what I said. It's a 10-1. You got to find out from the horse's mouth and actually hear what he says. And I'll go back to it. These managers can get people in ugly positions, and not pointing fingers, but certain managers, there seems to always be a lot of chaos and drama around them. And let's hope that this doesn't derail his career as well, because
Yeah, the
I mean,
chaos and
he's a
drama.
super player. He's a super player. He's super talented. You don't want him to have to take this baggage into the next few years of his career when he's trying to develop, because the last thing you want your teammates and a reputation within the NRL that that you got a bit of a bad taste in your mouth around teammates and coaching staff. It's not going to help his career in
No,
any way.
that's definitely right. And the concerning one is like if Benji's was one of our best 5'8" in the game and Lachie Galvin's a 6, um, if he can't develop him as who can?
Mm.
Like there must be massive concerns from that end. I don't know if they've had a falling out or what it is, but if I was a player coming through and I had Benji Marshall, to teach him his craft as a 6, and he wasn't confident with the staff. Like say if he was to go to Para Rolsey, he's a new coach there. Like I don't know, it reeks of bad advice, but also it's like these words have been put in the Lockie's mouth, and now everyone's ran with it.
Yeah, as I said, unless we hear from him and actually what the story is, there's no doubt maybe he's been put in a position where he's got to make a quick decision. From Lockie's point of view too, from a performance point of view, and picking the best option. If he's been offered 4 or 5 different clubs on really good money, and he's got an option to go to a club that's maybe more established, you can't blame him for at least investigating that. Like I know the Tigers are on the up, and he's a local kid there, and I think he should have stayed. But you can understand from his end that there's temptation to go somewhere that's potentially better.
I'll
I mean,
ask you two questions.
The Tigers are improving. He's got a good squad there, but I can't blame him for being, as I said, tempted to look into somewhere else. Not saying that it's the right decision to go, but the Tigers have been in a bad hole for a long time. So maybe there's some sour taste in his mouth from the last few years.
Well, the tempting thing is, one, he's been offered a 5-year, $5 million contract. He'd be interested to know what the other offers are, the clubs he's speaking to. The question I want to ask is Lachie Galvin a $1 million player? And two, if you were Benji, would you pick him this week?
Well, I think that price tag's whatever you're worth. We said that about Dylan Brown. The money in the game now for halves was crazy. What are you comparing it to 10 years ago, or are you comparing it to the modern game? $1 million now is pretty much what players are getting paid. If you're off contract and you're a good half in demand, you get $1 million. So I don't like to look at the actual figure. It's more about how much a club wants you, and it sort of seems to be around that $1 million mark is what you get. So why don't we come out of retirement, Toddy, and get back and put our hand in the ring? I'll be happy with half of that.
Well, I'm looking pretty good in my old Catalans jumper, so if you can get me a gig over in the south of France, because I tell you what, my head couldn't handle the drama here anymore, because even talking about footy gives me a headache. So if you can get me over in the south of France, Susie said she'd be happy to sit on the beach chewing baguettes with you and talking French. So see what you can do over there, mate.
There's a spare bed here for whenever you want, my man.
Well, that spare bed won't be there for a lot bit because there's a new baby on board.
Hey, I'll tell you what, though. You'd hate to be Lachie Galvin going into those change rooms the next couple of days. Imagine the elephant in the room for the young kid walking in. You've already got half your teammates off you and the coaches off you. I couldn't think, poor kid, I could not think of a worse place to be.
No, it's a challenging time for him. As you said, this will be obviously a challenge throughout his career and probably one of the biggest things he'll have to face. But he's said it now and he has to get on with it. And for the Tigers, it'll be interesting to see how long this stance is for. for them, they've got Parramatta this weekend, so hopefully they will get a win for, I guess, the club's sake, because there's been so much hype. But it's going to be a challenge too, because Parramatta get their superstar halfback and Mitchell Moses back this weekend. So it's going to be a big challenge. But yeah, like we always say, is that the support for the young kid is the main thing. He'll make a decision. Both parties will move on from this, but while we're still talking about it, it's a concern.
It's going to be interesting from a Tigers point of view, though. If they do lose him, who are they getting? Who's available? Because it puts them in a massive hole again.
Well, there's plugs available. You've got Jamal Fogarty coming off contract to Canberra. Obviously, Luai's gone there as a 7, but we know he can play 6. What he's played outside a steady half like Nathan before. So there's obviously, if now the Tigers know that they'll have money in the bank to throw at Jamal. There's talk that Jamal's been offered a 2-year deal at Manly. But yeah, they'll have to go to the market, and there's not too much on the market. Or there's Cherry on the market, so they might throw some big money at Cherry, a 2-3 year deal. There's speculation that he's going other places, but they'll find someone. That's the beauty of rugby league. When Lachie Galvin moves on, there'll be someone there to fill his spot, and I guess that's where the Tigers are like, well, okay, we're going to look to someone else. Adam Dewey will fill the number 7 jumper this weekend, so which he's familiar and comfortable with. But yeah, it's like I said, it's a watch this space, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how things unfold for the Tigers the next couple of weeks, especially if he doesn't get picked, because that'll leave them in a hole.
So that was the answer. If you're the coach, do you pick him?
Depends if it's the truth. How can Benji possibly pick him if he's found out that he doesn't believe in him and he doesn't rate him? If I was Benji, mate, put it in perspective, Toddy. If me and you were coaching, we've developed this young kid. He's had 2 seasons in the first grade, and he starts criticising us. Come on, man.
Yeah, so that's your answer, no?
Personal pride, I reckon. There's two ways to look at it. You want to win, you put that personal battle aside, which plenty of coaches do. Every coach doesn't have a great relationship with players, even if they think they're their best player. Sometimes, you're not there to be best mates. When you come into first grade, you think everyone's your best mate. Eventually, do you think coaches have that emotional connection with every player? I don't think they do. From a performance point of view, if he needs him, I'm sure he'll put that to the side. But at the same time, if you get kicked in the guts from a 20-year-old in your second year, there might be a bit of resentment there. But, man, I just want to know the truth. And, Lachie, if you want to come on 6 and 7s and speak your side of the story, brother, we are ready to roll.
We'll get another superstar half on our potty. We've had a few the last month, so we might as well chuck him on the list.
It'd be a good
Boys,
one.
do you think, like, with Luai and Appy kind of saying to Benji, look, like, we don't want to play with him, is it pretty much saying that he can't come back into the team? Like, because, the chemistry's got to be thrown off somewhat, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess that's one for you, Mitch, is as a senior player with Appy and Jarome going to Benji and saying they don't want him. I don't think that's going to change from the players' point of view, because they'll want to get on with this as quick as possible. They understand probably more so than the coach. Obviously, Benji's played before, but they understand the environment of the group. They're the 2 blokes that are driving that culture there. So is it long-term for Lachie?
Long-term in what, brother? What
Long-term that he won't be in the team?
Well, I think if the 2 senior players, especially your halves partner, let's be honest, the weight of power within that group would be with the senior group. It's usually the case. The senior guys would be the ones that are probably calling the shots, and they're rightly so. You got 4-time premiership winner in Jarome there, who's, I'd say, has a fair understanding of team chemistry. He's come from some pretty good systems, and Happy the same. So if they're fed up with him, you'd like to think they're going to get the right away and sort of have it on their terms, you'd think. But at the same time, if the Tigers want to win, and like I said before, there's plenty of coaches that don't have great relationships with their best players. They put that emotion aside and they just get a result done. But it's got to have a side effect. I mean, we know what it's like to win a comp or even to make the 8. You need to have everyone connected. You need to have the chemistry within the group, from coaches to players. And if there's a few leaks or a few, ratty behaviours, can have its side effects. It's just, what's worse than anything? Everyone was getting behind the Tigers. We're all, it was our second team. Everyone wants to see the Tigers do well. It's just another kick in the guts for the club. It really is.
Mm.
It's not good to see.
Yeah. Okay. I think
It just shows poor management again.
Yeah, it shows poor management, and that's the way it is. That's the beauty of rugby league. And the first two teams we're going to be talking about, one of these teams is in the 8, is the Manly Sea Eagles up against the Dragons on Thursday night to kick off round 7. Obviously, Manly a few weeks ago had the same situation with their star halfback, Daly Cherry Evans, telling that he's going to be leaving. Both teams in okay form. Dragons showed what you've always been talking about throughout the year, that they showed some.
Come on, the Dragons.
Showed some consistency. Eagles got beat over in Perth by the Sharks last week. How do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, I'm going to stick to my guns. I keep saying the Dragons were going to. How many times have I said it, Toddy, and you've been bagging me? You think I have a love affair with Flanagan? You think that I've got a secret connection with the Dragons? I'll say it again to the footy nerds. I've got no connection to the Dragons, but I've seen these type of performances in them for a few weeks. They're gritty. They're coached doggedly. And on the weekend, they played great again on the weekend. Sully was great. Valentine Holmes. Lalia on that left edge, outstanding. Gutho, I love. He's in every moment. So I reckon they're going to be too good for Manly again this week.
At 4 Pines Park, it is too. Thursday night.
Turbo out.
Turbo's still out. Yes.
Turbo out just gives me no confidence. And Manly's they're just so unpredictable. They are so unpredictable. They've just got no resilience when things. Without being too ruthless, they've got no resilience when things are on the back foot. I know Tom and Eddie there will be off me, but they've got no resilience on the back foot when things don't go their way. And I think Dragons can get a jump on them this week. I really do. I'm being hard on Manly because the best Manly we see, it looks like they can be premiership contenders. A couple of things go not their way within games and then week to week, and they're just two different sides. I think the Dragons have got a bit more fight in them, and I'm keen to see how they play this week.
Yeah, well, that's the inconsistency I worry about with the Dragons. 1 week they're up, 1 week they're down, and it's always a tough challenge going to 4 Pines Park, whatever Manly side you get, and obviously without Turbo. I'm going to go against you here and say that Manly will win. That they were while they got beat against the Sharks last weekend, I thought they were still good enough to win that game. But yeah, so I'm going against you.
Manly at 4 Pines Park, how many home games have they had to start the year?
They've had plenty, and the thing is that they need to win at home because when they're away, we know what they're like. So that means if you've had heaps at home early in the year, it means you're going to be away from home at the back end of the year. So,
like your personality in Perpignan, what goes up must come down.
That's exactly right. Jesus Christ, I was up there a few times, and tell you what,
I've got one story when the season's finished, and we can just do wrap bag stories for the fans when we go into a bit of reboot and a bit of we'll give a few indiscretions up in detail. But you've got a cracker from Spain to Perpignan I want to hear about one time.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's a real cracker. Obviously, you'll have to leave some of the details out about it, but I tell you what, she's a cracker.
Nah, story without a few lies isn't the same. You got to make it sound better.
Obviously, I'll put a bit of GSN in it. You know, I've got that in me.
A bit of salt and pepper. I like it.
Our first game.
This will be their 5th home game, by the way, boys. Tomorrow, their 5th home game already.
And talk about salt and pepper. I can't see much salt and pepper in your hair anymore. You must have had it dyed before you got on the plane.
Hey, never you mind. My little Lebanese mates at Surrey Hills there. Shout out, boys, for making me look 10 years younger. Although this grey beard, this beard's getting grey, Toddy. Tous les jours. Every day it's getting greyer. Tous les jours.
Tous les jours. Tous les jours. This is our French edition. Mitch is going to throw some words. And our first game on Friday night is the Bulldogs up against the Rabbits. And they welcome back Cody Walker in the 7 jumper, and Latrell will keep the 6 jumper. Matt Burton back for the Dogs. Bailey Hayward goes back to the bench. This is a cracker game, I think. 1st v 5th.
Yeah, great game. Do you like Latrell back at 6 and Cody at 7?
Well, I think it's the way it fits with the injuries at the moment. Lewis Dodd's on the bench, so it'd be interesting to see if they do start with Dodd or he does come off the bench. But there's cover there for if they want to change it. But the way Latrell played last weekend, I think Cody will complement him this weekend. While it's going to be a tough challenge against the Dogs, I'm going to go an upset here that the Bunnies will beat the Dogs after coming off the bye.
Yeah, I'm going the Dogs. I'm going to go against you only because the Dogs' defence, they're too good. I think with Cody at 7, as good as he is, and we speak about him every week, he's one of my favourite players in the comp, most creative players nearly we've ever seen of all time. It's a big call, but it's probably pretty accurate. I think 7 just restricts him a little bit. And with the defence of the Bulldogs, we've seen the best of players, Kalen Pongers. That's all I got for you. But no, we've seen the best of players this year trying to crack down the Bulldogs' defence. I bring up Kalen because it was the most recent game a couple of weeks ago. And the Dogs' defence takes their best players out of the game. And I think with Cody at 7, they're going to suffocate him. They're going to put him in a box defensively. And I reckon we'll see some errors out of Latrell and Cody. Off the back of the Bulldogs, nothing against them individually. They're going to be the biggest threat for South, but I think the Bulldogs' defence, if they're on, they just have a way of taking out the best players from the opposition. And I want to see the Dogs start to take off going into this Origin period. I want to see some improvement in their attack. They're doing really well, but I reckon this next 10-week window for them through Origin and players in and out is going to determine their premiership. I really think they can sort of make a jump start on the comp more so than they really have.
I like their bench still. Obviously, Bailey Haywood goes back to the bench with Kurt Mann still. They've got that. They change that dynamic when they come on. It'd be interesting to see where he comes on because at the moment, Jaden Selman's been starting at 13 and moving to the right edge back row for a change. So it'd be interesting to see how Serrato uses his bench. But like you said, the Dogs always make teams work for their points, and obviously that's what Latrell and Cody are going to do. But I like the way Latrell looked last week. In third game back, I think he'll be the difference and they'll get the win. Our second game on Friday night is the much improved Dolphins, and they have to be more improved again because they're coming up against the Melbourne Storm at Suncorp Stadium, where I'll be calling this game for Triple M.
Melbourne, how do you beat them, honestly? Like last week again, just they've got everything, right? Sideline to sideline, sideline to sideline footy, playing through you. Josh King got I think he got 2 tries last week just off short balls around the middle of the ruck. Like if you're a defensive team, and we speak about it all the time, like as a centers and halves on the edges from midfield, you got to keep your width because they got so much threat to come around you with their big centers and the speed of Papadow's and Munster and then Hughes. But then all of a sudden, then they score three or so tries through the middle with short passing off their middles, and then Harry Grant's influence around the ruck. So it must be a nightmare as a defender. Like, and not only that, their speed of the play the ball is always quick. They're constantly getting one-on-ones and quick play the balls. So I honestly don't know how you stop them.
Well, last week they were electric in that first half. They were unstoppable, and like I said before, the Dolphins' improvement over the last few weeks has been really good, but we'll get a gauge of how good it is because Melbourne Storm are absolutely flying. And while they're not on top of the ladder and the Dogs are sitting there, they're just sitting just in behind them. And I'm going to go the Storm here, 13 plus. I feel that they're too red hot at the moment.
13 plus. I'm going 20 plus. Does that count?
You can do what you want.
I'm going 20. Okay, let's put a bet on it. I'm going 22 plus.
22 plus. Well, there's no point putting a bet on because I'm going for the Storm too. So,
right, mate. I just want to bet the score line.
The score line.
I'm going 22 plus then. See if I. What did they put the last 2 weeks? They put Manly at least. Well, it was close to 50 points. Last week was nearly that in the first half, 30 plus points in the first half. I can't see him scoring anything less than that this week.
Yeah, they're putting some teams to the sword, and it'll be a tough night for the Dolphins. Our first game on Saturday afternoon is the Warriors up against the Brisbane Broncos, and the Broncos coming off a loss to the Sydney Roosters last week, and I thought it showed Roosters exposed some poor parts of the Broncos game, and the Warriors They're at home at Go Meta Stadium. So Saturday afternoon, the Warriors against the Broncos.
Yeah, I'm going to go Broncos again. I think they're good for a bounce back. They fell short last week, but the Roosters were good. I know I didn't get the Monday show with you. I had a better replacement in Tom, which I'm trying to live up to his expectations today. Jeez, he was good, Tom. But it's like Galvin versus Andrew Johns. You know what I mean? It's just two different levels. I'm Galvin. He's Andrew Johns. He's the bench setter of podcasting, as we all know. So I'm like the rookie. I'm the rookie here trying to learn my trade. But anyway, I listened to the show the other day and it was outstanding. But you boys, I didn't get to touch on Hugo. Savala. How do you say your last name? Hugo. In all respect.
Hugo Savala.
Savala.
Yeah, how do
My
we
man
say?
Hugo Savala. But he was outstanding. The length of his kicking game really put the Broncos under pressure last week. And I thought the Broncos, it was a good game of footy. It was up tempo. I don't think the Broncos were poor.
Hugo's off contract this year too.
How good is it now?
There's always a speculation that Hugo will start a betting war, open a war chest for halves. It's interesting.
Come in and play 2 or 3 games, and you can get $1 million off the back of it, and he deserves whatever he gets. It's a good time to be a half.
How good! The best. Yes, but let's not get sidetracked. We've spoken about it halves enough at the start of this one. The Warriors versus the Broncos. I'm going to go the Warriors. You're going the Broncos. I think the Warriors are too good over there. I think the Broncos, for me, looked tired last weekend. Adam Reynolds looked a bit ginger on his leg. I'm not sure how his fitness is, but I think the Warriors will be too good over there. But they are missing the fish, which will be a big loss. But I think the Warriors get it done still.
Yeah, I'm going to go Broncos. I think they'll bounce back this week. But Adam Reynolds' injury, he does look tender. They need to keep him fit. Old Reno. Excuse me, were you caught up with Reno, didn't you?
Yeah, we had coffee with him the other week, and he said his body's in good shape, so he'll be all good. He'll be good to go. The team that beat the Broncos last week is back up against the Penrith Panthers on Saturday night at Allianz Stadium. Panthers sitting at 16th, Roosters at 15th. So it's a battle of the bottom, but the Roosters v Panthers. How do you see this one playing out?
Honestly, it nearly fell off my chair there when you're speaking. Penrith 16th, Roosters 15th. It brings a tear to your eye. But I'm actually excited. I know that you went into detail, Toddy, last time this game was on about the game plan around the shorter kick from the Roosters. Instead of, for the viewers, last time that they played, instead of kicking those traditional box kicks into the far corner, the Roosters kicked those shorter kicks, which sort of threw off Penrith's set starts, although Penrith are a different side at the moment, and at the moment they're leaking points from anywhere. Some of their edge D last week, especially against the Dolphins, was super poor for what we've expected from them. So I'm going to go the Roosters this game. I think the Roosters are going to be too good for Penrith. From on form at the moment, Penrith just look shot, and it's hard to get your head around it. I know they've lost a few players, but I'm still backing that there's going to be a momentum swing for them soon. But I think the Roosters at home will be too good this week. Hugo's kicking game, confidence off Billy Smith, mate. How good was he last week? 2 tries.
He was outstanding last week. So you reckon the Panthers are going to lose 6 on the trot?
I can't see this. I'm not going to sit on the fence like I always do. I've gone for Roosters, so I'm going to say the reason they're going to lose is just because the confidence is shot at the moment, and they don't. It's more than anything. It's that edge defense. They've been leaked. That last week they were poor. I know the Dolphins, with Farnworth there and Avarillo, they got the ball to them with Hammer and moves. They had some speed about them last week, but some of the misses on the Penrith's edges was really uncharacteristic. So, and I think defense suffers when you haven't got that confidence in your group, and they're clearly down on a bit of confidence, but. I mean, after winning 4 comps, Toddy, does your confidence go, or are you just in a hole? Like, I mean,
as you said, we've had a few coffees with a few halves over the last few weeks, and I think Panthers will still win this game. I think they showed enough. Why I like the Roosters, it's going to be a neck and neck. It'll be a tight game, but I just don't see how Penrith can lose 6 in a row. I just think they're too good of a team, but it's a tough ask. And as you mentioned, you wrapped up Billy Smith. He was outstanding last week. James Tedesco. And while we are talking on the Roosters, the bloke we played with, the bloke you played with a little bit more than me, but JWH announcing his retirement at the end of the 2025 season. He's over in the Super League at Hull KR at the moment. So we just want to send a shout out to JWH. Well done on an unbelievable career. The alpha male, the lion of every team. Unbelievable effort. And he's still over there, killing it for the whole KR team. I think they've had a loss this year, and he's looking on the trajectory of winning a comp over there.
Yeah, shout out to Jazz. What a player. We both, as you said, have played with Jazz. He's ultimate leader, ultimate team man, sets all the standards. Geez, he must be tired, big Jazzer.
He looks tired.
Just sitting back on your lounge, watching two big bulls go at it instead of having to be out there. He must be looking forward to that. But it's a well-earned rest, and he's going to have so many opportunities after footy is in that leadership space. So all the best, Jazz. And as you said, Toddy, whole KR got a couple of really good friends there, really good mates with the coach, Willie Peters as well. And they're going to go close this year. They made the grand final last year, but my money's on Hull KR to at least be in that GF and give it a real shake this year. So Jazz are absolute champion. There hasn't been too many tougher, has there? To do what he does every week, be that alpha male, as you said. That's so much responsibility, and he does it with a smile. So
he does. He's always smiling. That's the vision of Jazz, always smiling into other players. And he was a hell of a player to play with and a hell of a player to play against. So well done, Jazz. Our first game on Easter Sunday will be the Titans up against the Canberra Raiders at Seabus Stadium. I think the Raiders win easy here again. I think the Titans, the way they played last week, were very poor. While that it's at home, the Raiders were good over in Darwin against the Eels last weekend, so I think they get the win.
Yeah, I'm going Raiders as well. I can see the smile on that moustache, how happy you are. Raiders really impressive last week, but Titans are just... They've got backwards. They've had that one good performance about 3 weeks ago where they put a score on the Roosters.
Gee, you're attacking teams today.
I'm just telling the truth, Toddy.
Good. About time you got off the fence.
I'm 24 hours away. No one can catch me, so I can say whatever I want.
Yeah, you're not going to run into anyone in the streets of Coogee anymore. You're over in France, tucked away in your little dungeon over there, mate. So you say what you want. Yeah.
I'm a full coward, mate. Yeah. I've run across from the other side of the world. We've got to tell the truth on here, Toddy. And the truth is the Titans have been so underwhelming.
Yeah.
Like, for a side that's really well coached, with a coach like Des that's had such good defensive systems, they've got a good pack. We've spoken about it a few times, especially in their wins. Their starting pack is great. They just struggle to play with any, win an arm wrestle back when the momentum's not going their way. And we spoke about Kieran Foran coming back, but, as much as we love Foz, he's getting old, Fozzer. So, he's on his last legs. He's on his last couple of years. So, as good as he will be to maybe give them some direction when he comes back, their defensive results, it's pretty poor. And Canberra have a field day against these type of sides, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah. The way Canberra played last week, they're laying their platform. I always speak about their front rowers and the blokes that are coming off the bench for them, but the outside backs last week against Parramatta and Darwin, they were just electric. Jamal Fogarty's ability to hold the long game with his kicking game lets Ethan Strange open up and play his own style of footy. And then their 2 nines, Owen Paddy and Tommy Starling, they just got that good balance when they come on. There's a steady head, and one just comes on and tears the teams apart because the way they're forwards, Joe Tarpany, Big Red Horsburgh, Papali'i, they're 2 back rowers. I can't speak highly enough for Canberra at the moment. They've just got that really good balance. They seem like a really good group. And that's why I'd love to see Jamal stay. And listening to Sticky speak again the other night, he got quite emotional about it. And I think he's a big part, and they need to do whatever they can to keep him there. I know they've got the young kid waiting in the balance, but I think they need him. He's an important part of that puzzle for them. And I know you always talk about there's a short window to win a competition. and they'll go close this year. I think the Raiders. I think they're a chance. There's always everyone's a chance at this time of the year. But I think if they can continue to win and build over the Origin period, because they'll lose a couple. But I think if they can build, I think if you lose Jamal Fogarty, and we talk about halves in their sweet spot, I think he's in his sweet spot of his career. He's comfortable down there. He seems content and comfortable with the group he's got. He seems like he's the leader. I think if you lose that and you bring a young kid in who's waiting there, and there's talk that if Jamal stays longer that he'll want out. But you only got a short amount of window to win a competition. I think if they lose Jamal, and if they don't win the comp this year and they lose Jamal at the end of this season, I think they lose that sweet spot. I don't think the kid that comes in, no knock on the kid that will come in, I just think that the balance they've got there with Jamal leading that team is their sweet spot for to win a competition. If not this year, over the next two, I think it's possible for the Raiders. So I think they need to look at that. If that's what we play for, we play to win competitions, and I think Jamal's the piece of the puzzle. They need to win a competition.
So what are you hearing? What's the issue of not? What's his pushback to stay? Is it
I think they've only offered him a
1
1-year deal, where Manly's offered him a 2-year deal. They're talking around 600, which I think he's worth more than 600 a year. If blokes like Lachie Galvin, Dylan Brown, that are getting 1.31 million. So if I was Jamal, I'd be digging my heels in Canberra. You just need to do what's possible. They talk about losing players. Yeah, he'd be disappointed. But at the end of the day, it's not. And Jamal's always spoke about this. It's not about money for him. It's about the security for his young family, and that 2-year offer is important. So hopefully Raiders can do something. But yeah, like I said, that sweet spot of someone's career is important.
This is what I don't understand, Toddy, what you're saying about the 1-year contracts. Like, he's not 34, 35. Jamal Fogarty must only be early 30s. Why are you offering someone like this who's still got, he's durable, he plays every week? This is the whole thing, argument you go back to the management of clubs. I just don't understand their mindset sometimes. There's not that many, if you haven't got a better replacement or someone that's not going to do a good job, as you just said, your job is to win a comp. It's like with the Cherry Evans situation. Lowball them 100,000 or 200K and then not make the finals. You're losing out on $1 million, $2 million, $3 million worth of sponsors by not having success. I don't understand it. Just give them an extra 2 years. I don't get it. I get it when they're 36, 37, at the back end of their career, and could be a liability, but it blows my mind, some of these decisions from managers.
You spoke about the Rolls Royce in the garage for Manly when you were talking about that. Well, Jamal's the Bentley, and they've got him in the garage. Keep him there. Keep the Bentley in the garage, Canberra, and keep him there. He'll turn you into a Rolls Royce.
Were you driving a Bentley that night when you jumped the tree? What were you driving?
Climb the tree, run from the cots, throw coins out of your pocket, climb up a tree. I still had the wits on me to get away from him. Not that it's a laughable matter now because we're reformed rat bags now. But I tell you what, there's some stories, and this is the beauty of our podcast. During the season, we can talk footy, but our footy nerds will want to talk about listen to us deadbeats talk about our scallywag times. And I tell you what, there's going to be some crackers.
Mate, the other day I was talking to someone. I literally just forgot who it was. It was all positive, talking about you. And they said something about, they ran into Riolo. And they said, Riolo was telling a funny story how Toddy caught him out of a tree and said, I'm in a tree park. Can you come get me or something? I'll get this story right for next time. Because I've had a brain snap. It might be the jet lag. But someone told me it was Riolo's name came up. And it was something about you calling him from the top of a tree.
Well, our last game for Easter Monday is the Parramatta Eels up against the West Tigers. One team without their superstar half, one team regaining their superstar half in Mitchell Moses. And it's going to be a welcome addition for Parramatta. I would love for Zach Lomax to be in the team and get a gauge of where Parramatta's up. But he's going to make a hell of a difference. It would be interesting to see how Tigers handle the week of what's been. But this is going to be a cracker game on Monday afternoon at Combank Stadium.
Yeah, Parramatta. I'm gonna back Para this week. They need a win.
Is that because Mitchell Moses is back, or the added pressure of this week that the club's been under for the Tigers?
No, they're back because Mitch Moses is back. Just the fact that, the defensive issues. Mitch isn't going to make 13 players defend better, but what a good halfback does when you're in a hole, and we've been in these positions, and you've been that player, and I feel like I have in some situations when your team's struggling and they're losing that, they don't have a voice. Honestly, it can be like a 60-70% boost when you a Todd Carney or a Mitch Moses comes back into your team. What they gain is their forwards finally relish the fact that they've got a good kicking game that can build in pressure. They've got a guy that's barking them in instructions. There's not that weird energy around where the players that they're trying to follow haven't got confidence. He brings this fresh energy. And I'm only speaking from personal experience, and I know you'd have stories yourself because you've done it plenty of times being the player you were, but when you come back and you've been out for a while, there's a sense of confidence in you as a player because you feel like you're a bit detached from the result. You have a bit of arrogance to you that you can solve the world's problems.
But also he'll understand what the team needs and watching from the sideline. Obviously, he'd be putting his input as a player, as a senior player, helping Rolsey out. That's right. He's coming in fresh. He's coming in ready. And after having that coffee with him the other week, he spoke about the changes and the subtleties of his game that he's going to introduce this year, what he's done over the preseason by working with Nathan Brown and Rolsey as a coach. So for me, as a footy nerd, I'm looking forward to Monday afternoon to see these changes that he's made in the offseason about the way he looks at the game, the way he's going to play, the way he'll handle different situations. So I've said watch this space a few times, but if you're a footy fan and a footy nerd, I reckon strap in and watch Mitchell Moses this Monday. It'd be interesting to see. And he's coming back at the right time, Mitchell, with Origin just around the corner. I want to have a chat to you about that. Around Origin, obviously we don't have any fan questions this weekend because we were stuck in the Lachie Galvin thing, the conversation, and we wanted to talk to you about our French edition, you being over there. But obviously, Origins are coming up soon. We've got Magic Round coming up, and then the next big event is Origin. With the competition how it is, what's your New South Wales team? We don't have to talk about Queensland yet. Let's talk about if the team's picked tomorrow, what's your New South Wales team?
You put me on the spot here, Toddy.
Yeah, well, that's what I like to do. Make you work for your money.
Well, Dylan at the back, I like the idea of, but he's been injured at Penrith.
Yeah, he's back.
Turbo's out. Sorry?
He's back playing, Dylan.
Yeah, but he's obviously, I suppose in for a few more weeks. You wouldn't go wrong picking Teddy.
No, Teddy's he's been enormous. Last weekend, he was untouchable.
Brian Tyler actually was at the junior footy the day I left to go to France, and Brian was there watching, must have been a friend at the junior footy, had a good conversation with him. My cousin was with me and big Penrith fan, got a photo with him. So shout out to you, Brian Topper, one of our favourite wingers of all time. Absolute gentleman, gave us plenty of time, so we appreciated that. He'd be one of my wingers. If Turbo's back in time and there was to go with Dylan at fullback, I'm putting Turbo on the wing. Latrell and Bradman Best potentially in the centres. I forgot Lomax, so I'm putting Lomax, sorry. I'm going to take out Bradman as a backup. I'd have Latrell and Turbo in the centres. Bradman would fill in if one of them's out. And I'd have Lomax on the wing with Brian. Top off. I'd have Mitch Moses and Nate Cleary. Up front, Payne Haas and this other one I'm stuck. The other front rower. Campbell Gillard is sort of on the out now, isn't he? Who was my other front rower last year? Well, Ola Kaladu I'm having in my back row. Yeah. Angus Crichton I'm having in my back row. Lock. Jake Travojevic done a great job there and was captain last year, but Jake's probably, he'd admit himself, is his days numbered in the Origin jersey, starting to come to an end, as good as he's been. Who's my other front row? Sorry, give me a hand.
No, it's your team.
Just give me 3 options for my front rows off the top
Well,
of your
one's
head.
Payne Haas, wasn't it?
I've got Payne locked in.
Mitch Barnett.
Mitch Barnett's my potential starting lock. Yeah, I'm putting my mate Mitch in there because Cam Murray's out. Mitch Barnett's starting
At
lock.
lock.
If Mitch isn't, who?
Where's Isaiah?
Sorry. Okay, there you go. I might put Mitch Barnett potentially starting prop if you want a quicker leg speed to start. Otherwise, Mitch is definitely off my bench. Yeah, Yowie at lock. Ola Kawatu and Ola Kawatu off the bench with Liam Martin in the back row. Sorry, with Angus Crichton. So my bench would be Ola Kawatu, Mitch Barnett, Reece Robson at hooker. I'd have Appy off the bench. Even though he's the old dog, I'm putting Appy off the bench.
No, Connor Watson.
And, mate, you're throwing, mate. This is why I'm not a selector. Connor as well. Connor, actually, you know what? I'll probably go Connor over Appy then, now that you've said that, because Connor can cover more positions, and he's done a great job there at a dummy half. When he's come on, he can also play great at lock. Who's my other front row? Come on, brother. I'm just trying to think.
Well, in the past, you've had Terrell May will be in the front row.
Terrell, mate, yeah. Terrell's 100% starting front row and well-deserved. That's a good pack, isn't it? The dynamics of Mitch Barnett, Ola Kawadu, Terrell May, Connor Watson with leg speed, then your Liam Martins, Angus Crichtons. Geez, that's a good pack. And then you're out, mate, New South Wales on paper with a fit Mitch Moses and Nathan Cleary running your team in the spine with a aging Queensland side of the Ben Hunt and Cherry Evans. Not underestimating him, but an aging side. Could be a good series for us this year, brother.
It will be. And I want to talk on, obviously, I probably got a little bit outlandish when I spoke about the Tigers front rows, but if you understand footy and you understand what my conversation was last week about the Tigers front rowers, while I probably used a little bit too much and said that they're the best front rowers in the game, but I was trying to say is that because the Tigers were on the topic in their conversation, that their front rows are playing enormous. Yes, they're probably not the best front rows in the game. I think Terrell May's up there at the moment, but Fanua Bolle, he's getting there. But I was just talking about the context. So the blokes that had a crack at me, stick it. That's what I was trying to get. Yeah, and but you understand what I'm saying. But there's obviously the comments is so I just wanted to clear that up. That yes, there's other better front rows in the competition, but at the moment the Tigers are playing just as good as any other front rows at the moment.
And as we know, Toddy, and what I liked about what you said, and I'm backing it. If I wasn't backing it, I'll tell you, because you're annoying the fuck out of me.
No, but you're in that mood today. I love it.
No, listen, what I think so underestimated in the game, we speak about it. It's like a half that's in a side that's not winning momentum. You can actually be playing better football than a half that's playing in a really good pack. I've been in those situations. Sometimes people think you're killing it when you're in a side when you're full of Australian players and you're on the front foot, and they go, "Oh, how good are you playing?" The actual stats and individual footy is nowhere near as good as what you might have played off the back foot in a situation where you have to come up with way more in a bottom 8 side. So I think Terrell May, regardless of the Tigers or at the Broncos or at Melbourne, he's still, I think, on form. He's the best front row in the comp. Probably top 3. That's a lie because Payne Haas is the best. But I think it's even more impressive with what they're doing in the side that they're in, and that's what you were trying to get at. Is that right, my mate?
Thanks for sticking up for me. It's about time you
truth.
Looked after your great mate.
Well, what about his stats, Toddy? What you just said too. What's he missed like 4 tackles out of like 160 tackles in 6 weeks or something?
Yeah, it's ridiculous his stats, and obviously it's not always off stats, but people do gauge it off stats now. I love this doing commentary for the great Shane Webke. He hates stats. He blows up about it when you talk about blokes' meters and stuff like that. He's old school, and I love sitting with Webby. Commentating the game, he's got a good insight on obviously because he was the old school, he was the modern goat in the front row. So it's good listening to talk about what it was like back then, mate. When we were commentating the other night, we talk about a great sixes and sevens. Alfie Langer was down in front of the commentary box, in a box at the footy with Ben Walker, Sammy Walker's dad, and Al's just giving us the bird, giving us the. He was just spraying everyone from in the box, getting photos. You can just tell he's a larrikin. Mate, if we can sit down with 1, 6, and 7, I hope when you're back from France we sit down with Alfie and chew the fat with him because, mate, it'd be unbelievable.
Well, close to, weren't we, Toddy? Obviously, one of our special guests was he nearly got him over the line, didn't he? And that would have been one for the ages.
Oh, it would have been the cherry on the top of what we've got coming, but
well, how good's Alfie? Like, you hear every single player that, especially from that Queensland era, but even other guys that you hear speak, as soon as they say who's the one player you wanted in the biggest moments, Alfie's. I've heard about 15 of these, the greatest of all time, say Alfie, straight up Alfie. So it would have been, what a player.
Unbelievable player, and I will slip a little teaser that this Friday our first special guest will be popping up. So keep an eye out. Watch this space moment. I've said it 3 times now. Can you leave us give us a exit of the show today with a little bit of French, Mitch? I'll put you on the spot.
Au revoir, mon frère. À bientôt.
Au revoir, mon frère. A bientôt from sixes and sevens. We love all your support. Continue to support the boys. I hope you like the French edition. Our great mates over in France. Send him your love. Write us in some messages. But have a great weekend of football, and we'll see you all on Monday. But remember, watch out for our special guest this Friday. It's going to blow the internet.
Let's go. Au revoir, mon ami.
Ciao, bello!